Today we read from the Gospel of John, chapter 13, verses 34 through 35. A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another, even as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. This is the reading of our word. Thanks be to God. I was probably 10 or 11 years old when The Bodyguard came out. In the movie, The Bodyguard. Whitney Houston's "And I Will Always Love You." I'm not going to sing it. But man, you're hearing it in your head right now, aren't you? And my 10-year-old self would listen to that song, and my parents, of course, had the soundtrack on our 6-track CD player, chilling in our living room. We loved those things, right? It was super cool to have one. I'm pretty sure it's still in our living room, because we don't get rid of anything, right? But I heard those words, and you think about those things, and as a 10-year-old, to me, boys still had cooties at that point. Thank goodness. But in my adult self, I now go, wait. What does that mean? Because my understanding of love has changed from my 10-year-old self to my now 34-year-old self. Yep, I'm 34, sorry, not hitting beyond that. And for those of you that makes you feel old, too bad. Because we, unfortunately, in our young English language, do not have this beautiful, nuanced understanding of the word love like they did in Greek, which is how the language of our scriptures would have initially been understood. See, the Greeks had 4 different ways of understanding love. We just celebrated Valentine's Day. Eros, romantic love. Some of us go our whole lives wanting this vision of Eros, of romantic love, and we don't often recognize what we have right in front of us. Some of us are very fortunate indeed when we do. We have friendship love. Some of us have had friends for a lifetime. We have familial love. Some of us wish we didn't. And then we have agape love. The love of God. And that, my friends, is the love of which Christ is speaking of in these 2 short little verses here. I learned a song at camp, and I will sing this one, because I was going to see if we could do it, and then I went, oh man, trying to figure out where it was in the hymnal, because it's not. And I don't know if you know it, because Camp Carolina is weird. They don't know all the songs. But it's love, 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 love. The gospel in one word is love. Man, y'all. But that's it, right? Love. In one word. It's all you need. To quote another song. But you knew that was coming, right? what does it look like? You see, Christ said, a new command I give to you, that you love one another, even as I have loved you. And by this all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. What does that look like? You see, we have to first understand and unpack what our understanding of Christ's love is. We have to know what that looks like. What does Christ's love look like? Because these words come to us at the end of Christ's life. He has just washed the disciples' feet. He's preparing in his heart, body, mind, and soul to then go die on a cross. Those disciples don't know the fullness of that. But he showed it over and over again. It's love in picking mud up off the side of a road and putting it on the eyes of a blind man. Love in talking to a woman at the well. Love in breaking of bread, in feeding 5,000. Love in preaching and teaching, even after being woken up from a nap. Not what you expected, right? Because if we learn anything from Christ's life, is that love comes out in unexpected ways and measures. It meets us exactly where we are in all of our imperfect realities. For Christ's disciples were not perfect men. They weren't perfect women. They questioned. They said, Lord, are you certain? When the children came to him, they went, get them away. I oftentimes, when the kids come up, say, can you take them? But some of them are mine, so I can't do that. Love comes to us. The agape love comes to us, recognizing us for exactly who we are, where we are. And says it's okay. We're not perfect. I'm a big fan of Lord of the Rings. Who would have guessed, right? And I'm also a big fan of the Tales of Peridian series, which is Black Cauldron, all that. Similar, all those same authors came out of the 1930s and 40s, all those things. J.R. Alexander, y'all are giving me blank stares. I love it. Add it to your cultural bucket list, or ask my children, because I've inundated them. Anywho, in a lot of those type of series, like Chronicles of Narnia, all that, there tends to be some sort of mirror, a reflection, an understanding, an identity, in which you are looking at yourself. And you look, 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 until you see. You see yourself. You see your strengths. You see your growing points, we'll call them that, right? You see areas in which you regret. You see areas you wish you could push to the side and never remember, and yet you dwell on. You see all of those things when you look in that mirror, and it causes you then to change your reality from that point on. That's the pivotal moment of every one of those stories in that person's singular identity. That's part of why I love, I guess that's part of why I love it. I'm a very self-reflective individual. I like that sort of introspective, identifying, discernment type deal. But that's God. You see, God doesn't need to look in some mirror to see us like that. God sees us like that every single day and loves us anyway. So if we, here's the challenge. This is a really, really simple verse on one level. On another level, it's like, please, Lord, don't ask me this. Just checking in. Perhaps that's part of it too. I was once told as, that's my youngest, for those unaware, or spirit leads you, right? I was once told, she does that a lot during Bible study, that perhaps what we ought to do as people of faith to recognize the love of God is not always about the acceptance of it, but it's the checking in with it. Checking in. Reminding ourselves that that love is there, present, constant, there for the taking, all the time. That's how God has loved each and every one of us. But then that second part of that verse, that's the hard part. By this all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. It's hard to love people. Let me just put that out there. It is hard to love people. And if you're not owning that for what it is at this moment in time, you're lying to yourself. You need to look in a mirror. Some people can be really hard to love. Do not look at people right now. I don't want to know. to love someone who has hurt you repeatedly. And I'm not saying that that means that you put yourself in line with them. Let me be very, very clear on that, because I am fully against putting yourself in any sort of toxic type of situation. Let me draw that distinct line. Because you can avoid people for the rest of your life, let me tell you. But for those that you have to engage with regularly, let's narrow it down. I know there's complications and all this other sort of stuff. I don't need to get into fine details. How we are known is how we are acting. How we act is how we are known by, right? If we act out of love, then that is how we will be known by. If people see us being kind, then they will think we are kind. If people see us acting like we love other people, then they will think that we are loving. If even in the midst of an argument with another, particularly in times such as these where arguments can get rather heated, if we can stop and pause and go, you know what? I accept that you have a point. I might not agree with it. But I accept that you have a point and you have a belief, and okay. Is that not more loving than, well, you're wrong and you're dumb? I'm just asking. This is not an easy commandment. And yet that word is present here in this. And Christ does not use that word very frequently. In fact, in our scriptures, it is used only 3 times. It is, love the Lord your God with all your heart, body, mind, and soul. Love your neighbor as yourself. And this is my new command to you. Love one another. I don't know what that will look like. I don't know what that will open in your heart as you explore what that means, what challenges that will face, what challenges you will face as you explore what that means. Because the process of loving others as God has loved you is a process of discernment, of openness, of awareness, of self-understanding and growth. But I certainly know that these words are a starter kit. Place to begin. It might not be as handy as this little, my goal is to finish this before the end of the year, I promise myself. But that's the point, right? We start somewhere with something. It challenges us to think anew, to remind ourselves, to begin again, to learn a new lesson, learn a new skill, learn a new identity, learn a new thought, and to love. Because the song that we'll be singing as we close out our day is what inspired my thought process. Because it's by our love they'll know.